You want to create LLM-based agents or apps, but you don't know how to code with Langchain stuff? Don't worry, you can use open source no-code solution called LangFlow, which you can create even complex agents or a simple lag without any coding. I don't like this intro for the video. It's not too fun. It should be like a little bit more creative, you know? I couldn't find any better idea for this video intro. This is what it is. Yeah, as usual, your video intro ideas. Then, let's go! Before we start, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon so you will get notified for the next video. Thank you. Alright, here it is, LangFlow, which I would call it no-code solution for Langchain. I assume you already know Langchain, or you know how to come up with your own agent based on large language models and create even potentially complex agentic workflows or different LLM use cases like RAG or chat with your data. And you might question yourself that I don't know how to code all of that, and potentially it's too much to code all of them. Well, the good news is LangFlow is here. So with LangFlow, as you can see, we just drag and drop. With so many tools and agentic workflows, you can have your complex language model based solution in place and even deploy them without single line of code. And good news is this is open source. So here's how to start. The only thing that you need to have to install is just typing Python pip install LangFlow. That's it. So I already did this in my terminal, and then after doing that, you just need to type LangFlow run. As soon as you run this, it's gonna execute LangFlow UI in your local browser. So let me show you how I did in VS Code. Alright, here's my VS Code, and I have already installed LangFlow in a virtual environment. So I need to activate that virtual environment, which is called venv. It is not a must to do, but it's a good practice to create a virtual environment and then install LangFlow. That's why after installing this in my virtual environment, now I can just run LangFlow space run. And when you install LangFlow, it's gonna take a while, so be a little bit patient. And when it's done, you can just type LangFlow run as I'm doing here. It's gonna take a while, and you will see it will give me a local URL that the LangFlow is running on my machine. There you go. Now it says I can access LangFlow using this URL. So I just click on it to open it. Beautifully running in my browser. So firstly, you need to create a project. If I click on this icon here, it generates a new folder. Under each folder, I can have my files or projects associated. So here, I just want to click on new project. You can start with empty one, but look at that. There are a couple of great templates coming in for even complex agentic task, hierarchical task agent, sequential task agent. And the one that I'm going to run for you as an example is vector store RAG. So I have a PDF, or you can have a lot of PDFs or text file that you can chat with it through RAG, and I'm gonna create that without any coding using LangFlow. So I would prefer to start with this template, and I clicked on it. You can see that there are two types of flows created. Before I go through each, which is pretty simple, let's see what else on the left side is available. So for the component side, I can have chat input, which is technically what I use to ask a question, and you can see it's here, and we need it for RAG. And if you want to have a text input as well, in case you're not using maybe RAG, there's another LLM use case that just have a text as an input, you can have it as well. The same thing for output. All the way on the right side, I have this chat output to be displayed in the chatbot when I ask my question. So this is the component for it. And similarly, what we have for text. If you want to add a prompt, here's the prompt box. And I think we do have an example of that here. So for example, if we check out the prompt, it says, given the context below, answer the user question. This is what we do in RAG. We provide the context from your PDF documents, the chunks, and then we answer the question. So it's a prompt example, but obviously you can have different variables and change it as needed. We have also the data section. If you want to create word embeddings out of your data, you have to provide your data as a file, URL, webhook, or directory. Let's say you have a folder in your machine that you have subfolders, a lot of PDFs and text documents, you can use it here. So for this example, the data that I have is a file. So that's why the template already dragged and dropped this file here. And what I'm gonna chat with it is a PDF file. Let me show you what it is. There you go. It's the dietary US guideline, just an example. I don't know how many pages it is, but this is I have downloaded locally on my machine. That's why I'm okay with files. So what I need to do first, I need to also say where this file is. So I just click on this icon here. I choose the file that I have, and it's getting loaded for me. So what this flow is doing, it's generating word embeddings to my vector database, and the other flow is chatting with that word embeddings to ask any question that you have about your data. So we have to finish this part first and then to be able to create the upper flow. So after adding the file, we need to split the data, generate different chunks, typical rack scenario. That's why this is already here. I'm not going to change the default value, so let's keep it as is. And here it is asking me that, okay, you want to use OpenAI embeddings? And this is not just OpenAI. If you go all the way to embeddings, you can see that there are a variety of different models that you can have, even your own models coming in for generate the embeddings out of it. So they have added already OpenAI in this example, and I think I'm fine with it with the model here. So let me just copy and paste my OpenAPI key. Alright, I just added here, and by the way, it's not the only place that we need OpenAI. Even on the upper flow, which we're gonna chat with our vector DB, we also need to convert the user question to embeddings to calculate similarity search. So that's why I placed the API key here as well. And also lastly, when we provide the context to model to answer the question, we also need to paste the key here as well. You can define them as a variable and just choose them instead of keep pasting them. Alright, so coming back to our flow, we had our file, then splitting our file, generate embeddings, and then save it to our vector database. Now AstraDB is just one vector database example by default here, but again, this is not just the only choice. If on the left side I click on vector store, you can see AstraDB is the first one, but the one I'm going to use, and I have it already an account there, which is Pinecone. So I want to choose Pinecone instead, and I want to delete this. So this is how I'm going to do. First, I want to connect these chunks to ingest the data to my vector DB, and also generate embeddings of that chunk to store under embedding section of my Pinecone. So I want to create an index in Pinecone. Let me show you how I'm doing this. This is my Pinecone account. You can create one for free, and when you log in, you can create an index there to store your embedding. So let me create one. I'm gonna call it test, and it is asking me what's the dimension of your vector DB that you want to create the word embeddings for. So in order to make sure I'm putting the right dimension, I want to search by model. This is the model I'm going to generate embeddings in LangFlow. It knows the dimension is 1536. So I set, I create, I'm done. So I'm going back. I'm going to tell that I have an index name called test, and I can choose a namespace for that. Let's call it also test as well, and API key. Pinecone has an API key. You can grab it from your Pinecone account. I have it already, so let me paste it here. Okay, I just added here, and also I believe I need to add Pinecone to generate embeddings out of the user question. So I need to again add Pinecone here instead of AstraDB. There you go. And I want to get the user question as an input to my Pinecone, which is search query here, and embeddings also are coming from OpenAI to Pinecone for similarity search. Let me actually do like this, and then that means I don't need AstraDB anymore. So let me make it here to make it beautiful, and the output of the embeddings go for getting parsed, because search results is a little bit messy, and I want to make sure that it beautifully goes to this parser to clean that up, go to the prompt, and then get the user question answered. So I want to also paste the Pinecone API key here. There you go. If you remember, my index name was test, the same thing for namespace, and almost that's all. So let's go back to the lower flow. This is first what we need to do to generate embeddings out of the PDF that I just showed you. So now I'm ready to actually run this. So if I run the last step, it understands that it is sequential. So as you can see, it is loading my PDF. It's gonna take a while. Again, everything just running locally on my machine. And after that, it will send it to the splitter to do the chunking and then generate embeddings and then store that all in Pinecone. So we're gonna check all. Okay, now the split is done, embedding is done. That was pretty fast actually. And now it's saving those embeddings in Pinecone. As soon as this is done, I'm gonna confirm that in Pinecone. Okay, I got an error. Let's see. Oh, API key is wrong. So let me check the API key and I'll come back shortly. Alright, I realized that my OpenAI key was wrong, so I replace it here and now it got executed successfully. And by the way, if you want to track the records of your executions, you can see that last time I got an error in my OpenAI key, but this time it was successful. So let's go to Pinecone and make sure that index is created. Alright, here is his test, and as you can see now I have the chunks coming in locally as a file path which was on my machine, the dietary calling framework as I told you with the text associated, which is perfect. This is ready to be retrieved for similarity search using chat with our data or rank approach. Okay, going back here, now this is the flow for generating embeddings. You might have already a vector database locally or on Azure or different cloud providers. All the embeddings are there. You just need to create a connection to that if it's here. Even if it's not here, you can have any custom Python code created to execute or get retrieval from your vector DB. And I'm going to show you how you do that. So before I jump into the chatbot section, let's see what other stuff is here. So we talked about data. Let me close that. Prompt, input, outputs, data, and models. So you can have a variety of different models also getting added here. For example, the one was used here was OpenAI. You can use Azure OpenAI, and as you can see, other providers. Again, if they're not here, that doesn't mean you cannot have another models. You can always have your custom Python code to call any model that you want. I'll show you how. Helper, this is the interesting part. If you need chat memory for your flow, if you want to combine text, filter data, ID generator, these are helper functions ready for you to go without you needed to code. And if you want to code, here's the custom component. You drag and drop, you just go for it, you click on this first icon, you see the code appears, and there you go. You can have any Python code actually here edited to run anything that you want to do, to connect to your own custom model, your custom vector DB. It's all up to you. Let me delete this. Not only that, for any of these components, there's a code on backend, and you can simply access to the backend code of this. If you click on it, same icon, you can see what's the code that does the chunking stuff for you. So I think it's not only good for people that they don't like to code, but also it's good for people who want to code but are looking for code templates. All of these on the backend, they have a code easy for you to access, and you can understand how it does. If you want to go to the setting of each box, this is the icon. You click on it. These are the parameters that I can set up for this box. The same thing for other boxes. If they have parameters, you can have them specified for you. Okay, this is about helpers, and we talked about vector store and embeddings. Also, I told you that there are different embedding models. They have a section called experimental, which is in beta phase as of now that I'm recording this video, and they have so many cool components here, especially for agentic flows. And look at that, we can have a variety of different agents selected here without you coding. For example, you can have a SQL agent to chat with your SQL databases. There are a couple of Astra assistants here. Chains, if you're familiar with Langchain chains, you can have them here. Loader, utilities for crawling data, or even there's a section you can connect and retrieve search results from internet if you want to have your chatbot connected to internet. There are actually so many components. I personally haven't tried all of them yet, but I think this is fantastic to look at that on the tools section. You can connect to Search API, Google, Bing, and I think they do have also Yahoo Finance News. There you go. So you can have your chatbot talk with live internet data with connecting to these tools, which is, again, I think a beautiful service, and all free. I'm just using that on my local machine right now. Okay, so going back to my chatbot, I think you already know all the components here that we explained. So let me close this all to make it much more clean. There you go. Now my vector DB is ready to answer my user question. So the first thing is the chat input that I can type, just let's say hi. Just want to make sure this is working. It will convert my question to word embedding here, and it will send it to Pinecone for similarity search. Then I clean the data, and I have a prompt that says, hey, answer user's question based on the search result here, which is, again, I showed you already the prompt. and the answer goes to OpenAI GPT-4o that say that, hey, here's the user question, here's the search result, answer the user question, which is here. So if I click on run here, because it is sequential, it's gonna run the first thing, done. Then Pinecone, done. Parsing, prompting, OpenAI is answering my question. Let's see how it works. Okay, I think I have the key. Yes, I have to update the key, the same reason. So let me update the key again. Alright, I update the key. As you can see, the last bar, chat output and OpenAI worked successfully. And let's see what was the message. There you go. It captured and actually captured the logs as well, which is fantastic. It says the sender's machine, and it was AI actually answered the user question. I said hi, and the answer was, hello, how can I assist you today if you have any question, which is perfect. That means it is working properly. So there's a playground section. I can start playing with this solution. I click on playground. There you go. I said hi the first time, it failed. The second time, how can I help you? So let's ask a question from that PDF file that I just showed you. Okay, this was our PDF. Let's see, for example, I'm gonna ask about, let me go a little bit down, executive summary. Okay, so let me copy this. I'll come back. Tell me about executive summary. Hit enter. It says thinking, and I'm waiting for the response getting shown to me here. There you go. Here's the answer, the executive summary of diet. Okay, it knows that I'm chatting with this, so I assume the answer is correct, coming from the PDF that I just chatted with. So I can have memory, also delete the session as needed, and here it is. Now I have my chatbot without any coding working end-to-end successfully, which is just a simple RAG with my Pinecone Vector DB. Now let's say I want to deploy this going beyond just my machine here. I want to create maybe API out of this chatbot, so anyone in my company, my team, can chat with this chatbot, ask questions from my documents without necessarily running this locally on machine. So if we click on API, here are multiple code snippets that how someone can call this chatbot that I created. It can be through curl, as you can see. By the way, yes, the host is local right now, but you can deploy it locally on, let's say, container on Azure or any cloud provider and make this URL public. Then the rest is exactly the same. Or here's a Python code that I can call this chatbot through Python. As you can see, it needs a URL. Again, this URL is local right now, but you can deploy this with Flash to make it public, or deploy this on cloud, and this base URL gonna be changed, but the rest gonna be the same. An endpoint, I can have an endpoint name for my flow. I will show you how to do it. So let's go to my setting. Let's create an, I'm gonna call it actually RAG. So let me go back to the code. That means when I want to run this code, the endpoint gonna be RAG, and the same is the same. It is just asking the question and answer the question that I have when I call this. Let's actually try that in Python code. Alright, I just copy and paste the code in my VS Code. As you can see, I just changed the endpoint to RAG, and I didn't touch anything actually. So I have saved this Python code called rag.py under this download path, and I just want to call this Python code and of course the question that I need to get answered by the chatbot. So I hit enter. Let's see if it works. Okay, it seems to be doing something. Let's see if it fails or it's gonna answer to me properly with the, okay, I think it worked. Yes, there you go. So here's the answer. The executive summary of this dietary guideline, which is coming from the PDF that I'm chatting with, got executed successfully. Of course, I can parse it later to make it more clean, but it is working. So this could be a public URL that I could call this chatbot, or through curl, HTTP call, Python, or all those code examples that I told you, for having your low code or actually no code RAG executed. Again, here RAG was just a simple example that I created, but you can have right off different projects, start it from blank or choose from these templates coming in without any coding. This is extremely helpful, again, all for free, and I hope you found it helpful. So this video was just showcasing the art of possibility in a quick amount of time, but there are a ton of things you can go and cover. Let me know if you're interested to know more about specific components here so I can create another video. And let me know what you think about this solution in the comment section. If you like the video, I would be very thankful if you click on like icon. And I will add the GitHub of LangFlow in video description, which is a Discord channel link. You go to the Discord channel and there's a reference section. You can get access to this. All right, that's all.
What are you afraid of losing when actually nothing in this world belongs to you? Dream big, my friends, believe in yourself and take action. Till next video,